folks, we're going to go ahead and finish 3.3 today. In part 1 of 3.3, we solved a system of linear equations in 3 variables using elimination. And now we're going to apply that technique to solving a couple of word problems. One is specifically a word problem. The other one, so to speak, is as well, but it won't sound the same as the first one that we did. The first problem that we're going to look at in terms of an application problem is one that we had seen in 3.2. We're going to look at an investment problem, a simple interest problem. But this time, we're going to be dealing with 3 variables. That means we're going to have to come up with 3 equations. So let's take a look at that problem, and we'll break it down hopefully in a way that you will understand exactly what we are doing here. A person invested $17,000 for 1 year. So like in all of the investment problems, the money is only going to be kept in the accounts for 1 year. He invested $17,000 for 1 year, part at 10%, part at 12%, and the remainder at 15%. So 3 different interest rates because there's 3 different investments going into the bank. The total annual income from these investments was $2,110. So let's just stop there just for a second. In sentence number 1, is dealing with the amounts of money that are going into each one of the accounts. And the total amount that's being invested is $17,000. I'll just read it again. A person invested $17,000 for 1 year, part of it going into 10%, part at 12%, and the remainder at 15%. This first sentence, if I can just now have Kristen kind of transfer over, this first sentence is going to be involving the principal. The principal is the amount of money that the person is going to invest in each one of the accounts. That's what the principal is, and that's what we're finding out from sentence number 1. Sentence number 2 is dealing with the annual income that's going to be earned from those 3 investments. The total annual income from these investments was $2,110. The total annual income is the total amount of interest that the person is going to earn from those 3 accounts. So total annual income that he's going to earn is going to correlate to the total amount of interest that he's going to earn from those 3 accounts. So sentence number 1 is going to give us equation number 1. Sentence number 2 is going to give us equation number 2. And the third sentence, which we'll detail in a minute, I'll read it right now. The amount of money invested at 12% was, that's going to be a key word. I'm going to write above that word was right now, I'm going to put an equal sign. That's going to be key. The amount of money invested at 12% was or equals $1,000 less than the amounts invested at 10% and 15% combined. Now don't worry yet about what that equation is going to look at or what it's going to look like. We'll deal with it. Find the amount invested at each rate. So it's a 4-step plan problem. Step 1, find amount invested at each rate. So we go to our chart. The chart is the same looking chart that you saw in 3.2. The difference is it had 3 rows going across and still the 4 columns. This one will have 4 rows going across. Row number 1, one of the interest rates. I put 10%. Row 2, 12%. Row 3, 15%. They can be in any arrangement that you want. And the last row going across is the total row. The title of the columns, the parts to the simple interest formula. Principal multiplied by rate multiplied by time is equal to interest earned or income earned. The interest earned is the income earned by the person that's investing the money into the accounts. The principal represents the amounts of money that he's putting in to each of those accounts. Now the question is saying, find the amount invested at each rate. We don't know anything about the amounts of money that are invested at each one of these rates. So we're going to pick 3 different variables, and we'll stay with X, Y, and Z. So we're going to let the 10% investment be X amount of dollars, the 12%, Y amount of dollars, and the 15% Z amount of dollars. Folks, we do know the total principal. We know the total amount of money that the person is going to invest. Line number 1, he's going to invest $17,000 amongst all 3 of those. So the total, $17,000. Let's just stop there for a moment. We see equation number 1 right here. The amount invested in 10 plus the amount invested at 12 plus the amount invested at 15 equals $17,000. That's going to be our first equation that we'll write down. That came from sentence number 1. Now let's fill in the rest of this chart. The interest rates. Here they are. Now remember, when we identify their rates, we have to either write down their decimal or fractional equivalents, and we've always gone decimal, and we're going to stay decimal. So we take each one of these rates, and we move the decimal points over to the left twice to get them as a decimal. Point 10, point 12, point 15. This little puppy down here, it's a free spot. Nothing goes in there. Then the period of time. It's only going to be kept in the account for a year. So we write 1 year for that investment, 1 year for that, and 1 year for that. And again, we don't need anything there. Again, don't put 12 months. It's always a year. Now, let's fill in these remaining boxes. Let's find the amount of interest income that the person's going to receive from each one of these accounts. The amount of interest that he'll earn off of the 10% account X times 0.10 times 1, 0.10x. The 12% investment, Y times 0.12 times 1, 0.12y. And the 15% investment, 0.15z. That's the amount of interest earned from the 10%. That's the amount of interest earned from the 12. That's the amount of interest earned from the 15. And this represents the total amount of interest earned, 2,110. And we're going to write it like this. It's key. That's 2,110, but you need to show point and the cents. That's important. That's going to be key. This is going to lead to our second equation. Income from 10 plus income from 12 plus income from 15 equals the total kit and caboodle, the total interest earned from all three of those investments. That's going to be the second equation. Let's get those first two down, and then we'll get the third one, because we'll have to go back and reread it and put the package together. Equation number 1, column number 1, x plus y plus z is equal to 17,000. Okay, folks, equation number 2, last column, the interest column, the income column. What I would do, so we don't have to do it down here, there's no way I'm going to keep those decimals there. We're going to take this box and multiply this box by 100, so this will become 10x. Just move that decimal point twice to the right, move this box twice to the right, move this box twice to the right, and move $2,110 twice to the right. And here will be equation number 2. 10x plus 12y plus 15z is equal to 211,000. 211,000. There's our first two. Okay. Now, we need the third. And the third is going to start right here with the word the. We've already handled the first two sentences. Sentence 1 gave us him. Sentence 2 gave us the second one. Now the third sentence will give us the third. And we're going to have to translate. The amount of money invested at 12% was equals. He is a key word. He is the linking verb that's going to link together this phrase that's coming to the left of the word was with the phrase that's coming after the word was. Now what comes to the left of was is going to go to the left of the equal sign. I'm going to put an equal sign right here. That equal sign is your was. It's the was. Now let's see what is written before was. The amount of money invested at 12%. The amount of money that's invested at 12% is Y. P is the principal, the amount of each investment. The amount of the 12% investment is 5. The amount of money invested at 12%, that's Y. That's going to go to the left. The amount of money invested at 12%, Y, was equals Now we're going to have to translate. 1,000 less than the amounts invested at 10% and 15% combined. You see the word less than. That's important because it demands a particular order when we translate. You can't just write the 1,000 first. You can't, because it says less than. And less than means whatever comes after less than must be translated first. Let's look at the words that come after less than. The amounts invested at 10 and 15 combined. The amount invested at 10 and 15 added together, combined. The amount invested at 10 was X. The amount invested at 15 is Z. Those two investments combined, they're written first. Whatever comes after less than is translated first. The amounts invested at 10 and 15% combined. This is 10%. This is 15. Those two combined. Don't necessarily need the parentheses, but the amount of 10% and 15% combined. Then your minus sign, and then 1,000. Now there's the system. Now I'm going to take this sheet of paper off. Equation number 1 is written in standard. Equation number 2 is written in standard. We need to write equation number 3 in standard. We need to have the x, the y, and the z on the same side and the constant on the other. Now don't get bothered by the parentheses because they're going to go in a moment. As a matter of fact, now that you see the correct translation, well, we can get rid of them right now. We still followed the translation in the right way. Now let's get this y and let's move it over to the right hand side. And then we'll have to move that negative 1,000 back over to the left hand side. So I'm going to show that right here, and then we'll rewrite the system. Minus y is equal to minus y. Positive 1,000 is equal to a positive 1,000. Let me go ahead and write this one down first, because we've just been working with it. And I'm going to kind of turn it around if it's all right with you. We have x minus y plus z.